is your chef, Derek Walker. I'm here to demo the classical vegetable cuts that we are going to be drilling and learning in class. And if you work hard and you practice a lot, you will master all of these cuts, guaranteed. First thing that you need is a sharp knife. Make sure that your knife is sharp by checking horizontally across the blade, never vertically. If you need to hone, go ahead and do so. Just a few times on each side should be sufficient. And we'll start with peeling our potato. When you peel, anchor it on the board. Go away from your body. That way you don't have to worry about cutting yourself. I think it's faster as well. So if we have our potato peeled, make sure that our cutting board is clear of debris because your knife will slip. And start by squaring off the potato. Anytime that you have uneven sides, you want to make a platform for the vegetable to sit securely on the board. Go ahead and continue squaring off all the way around, all sides. There will be a bit of waste depending on your chef. He may want you to go back and use this. But for our purposes, we're drilling and we're learning how to do the cuts. So don't worry about it at this juncture. The most important cut when we begin is the first cut. If you get the first cut wrong, you're going to find it difficult all the way throughout the process. So I will start with the Julienne cut. The Julienne cut is 2 inches by 1/8 by 1/8. It varies maybe 1.5 inches to, I've seen it as long as 2.5 inches. For our class, we're going to do 2-inch lengths. It is 1/8 by 1/8. So your first cut, every cut has 3 different dimensions. The first cut will be 1/8 of an inch. So once you determine 1/8 of an inch, go ahead and let your blade do the work. Let it slide, let the tip come down to the board and anchor, and then go ahead and rock back through. And you'll get this nice, even plank, as we call it, okay? Again, determine 1/8 of an inch, slide through, tip to the board, rock back. Determine 1/8 of an inch, tip down, rock back and through. Then at this point, we'll take our planks and we'll determine the length, which is the next dimension. The dimension, the length, as I mentioned, is 2 inches. So we'll go ahead and square it off to 2 inches. And we'll do the same with these. You can use your first one as a guide. And then you're ensuring that you're going to have the same length. So now we've got these nice 1/8 of an inch thick, 2-inch long planks in which to work with. Now, the last dimension is, again, 1/8 of an inch to complete the Julienne cut. Here, for these very fine cuts, you can slide your knife tip back, like so. Or you can do it traditionally by rocking forward and through. Notice that my hand, my guiding hand, is perpendicular to the blade. And this is what is guiding and determining the width of what I'm cutting. I'll show you that again. I do have my traditional 3-finger hold on the knife, 3 around the handle, and then the thumb and the index finger pinching the blade. This is by far the most popular hold, and I think that you'll find that it's the easiest. Let's go again and cut some more Julienne. I determine my 1/8 of an inch, come through, and again. And I'm using my knuckle. I'm taking my knuckle back. I'm going through the food with my knife. I am not pushing the food through. So my knife is moving, the food is staying still. That's important. Whenever you're cutting, you're going to come through the food. Don't attempt to push the food through the knife. and again. The Julienne, if we examine it, is a square. It has hard edges. As you rotate it through your fingers, it should have distinct movements. You should feel those edges. It should be even all the way through, straight, up and down, 1/8 of an inch by 1/8 of an inch by 2 inches. And this is the Julienne. And I'll lay these out, and you'll see that there's total consistency here. And when we plate these, and when we cook them, the uniformity ensures a beautiful plate presentation and also even cooking times, consistent cooking times. Okay? The Julienne. Now, the next cut that I'm going to do is the Brunoise. The Brunoise is the logical progression from the Julienne, because we can use the Julienne to now make the Brunoise. The Brunoise is the smallest of the dices. It is 1/8 of an inch by 1/8 of an inch by 1/8 of an inch cubed. I'll go again and make a plank coming down and through. Again, I'm determining 1/8 of an inch. My tip is going to the board, and I'm rocking back and through. Now, it doesn't matter which length we cut this second dimension at, because we're going to make Brunoise, and that'll make sense in just a moment. So, an arbitrary length. I then come through, making Julienne strips. Take my Julienne strips, line them up so that they're even. And you may want to start with just 1 or 2 in the very beginning. It's easier to manage. You line it up. And then you complete the Brunoise by cutting again 1/8 of an inch. So you're making 1/8 of an inch square or cube. And as you develop your skill, you'll be able to put more and more together at once, more strips, and your knife will not need to leave the cutting board. You can simply rock it as it was designed to do. But again, this kitchen pace is going to require more skill. The product that's left here is the Brunoise, which, again, hard edges, perfect dice. They should be uniform, square on all sides, 1/8 of an inch by 1/8 of an inch by 1/8 of an inch, and that is the Brunoise. It makes for a great presentation, and it is often a garnish in consommes and also petite frites. And it's really beautiful on the plate. Third, we'll move on to the bâtonnet. The bâtonnet, which means stick in French, or little stick, actually. Is 2.5 inches by 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch. So it's like the Julienne, only larger. Right? So first cut, most important, I'll go ahead and I'll determine where 1/4 of an inch is. Find my 1/4 of an inch, my tip comes to the blade, to the board, excuse me, and I follow through, rocking back, and then I have an even plank that is 1/4 of an inch thick all the way through. My next cut is again 1/4 of an inch. And then I will go ahead and cut it to its length, which is 2.5 inches. And voila, the bâtonnet. And if it looks like a French fry, it is. That's kind of where we get our French fry cut from. And that's the bâtonnet. Now we will do the small dice. The small dice, again, can be made from the bâtonnet. The small dice is 1/4 of an inch by 1/4 of an inch by 1/4 of an inch square. So I'll go ahead and cut a couple bâtonnets. Square it off, even them up, and then complete the cube by cutting another 1/4 of an inch. And we'll go ahead and display those. And again, perfect dice. I mean, you should literally be able to roll these like dice. There you go. So you see there's an easy transition from the longer lengths to the shorter dice. And that's a shortcut. That's something to remember when you're taking your test and you're under pressure, the clock's ticking. This is something to remember. I can take my Julienne and make Brunoise. I can take my bâtonnet and make small dice. Now we'll move up to the larger dice, which is medium and large. Again, same process, squaring off the potato. Medium dice, we'll cut a 1/2 inch. And then again, 1/2 inch. We'll square it off. And then complete the cube with another 1/2 inch cut. And there, again, square, perfectly square cubes. This is the medium dice. Moving on to the large dice, which is 3/4 of an inch. And you may only get 5 to 10 out of a smaller potato like this. And I determine where 3/4 of an inch is. I come through, cut again at 3/4 of an inch, square, and one more 3/4 of an inch cut to complete the cube. The large dice. Okay. Let's go back to the another cut, the Alumette. The Alumette is a variation of the Julienne. It's just a longer Julienne. So this is almost like review here at this point. We'll go ahead and determine 1/8 of an inch. Got nice even planks. The Alumette is 2.5 inches, like the bâtonnet. Only difference being is that it is, like the Julienne, 1/8 of an inch square. This is the longer cousin of the Julienne, the Alumette. All right. Finally, we'll move on to the Paysanne. The Paysanne, or fermière in French, is a 1/4 of an inch, or by a 1/4 of an inch. Sometimes it can be a 1/3 of an inch by an 1/8. So it's a flat square. That's what's different about this cut. So what I've done is I've taken a plank that I would normally make an Alumette or a Julienne out of, and I've cut it into widths of a 1/3 of an inch. And again, it can also be larger, actually.